Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have here a very interesting article and I would like you to pay attention at words these weasels are using when they want to inform us about something. So in this case, the United States carries out some action, military operations in Syria, and I will just point out how they, which is Associated Press, what words they use. Okay, so besides the fact that this is an illegal strike and all that, this article comes from Associated Press and is from October 6, 2022. US kills 3 Islamic State leaders in 2 Syria operations. Okay, this the title seemed to be neutral, but a little bit like it's a success, right? US kills 3 leaders of the Islamic State. Islamic State bad, US good. US kills 3 of them, and the location Syria in 2 operations. So that's 2 times successful. So US forces kill 3 senior Islamic State leaders in 2 separate military operations in Syria Thursday, including a rare ground raid in a portion of the northeast that is controlled by the Syrian regime. What do you mean? Now we get more information. So the US went into a so the US forces were in Syria and they entered Syrian government controlled territory to kill 2 or 3 people that they deemed terrorists. First, what are they doing in Syria? Secondly, so this controlled by the government, but this is controlled by a foreign country. I thought that Syria is a independent, sovereign country, like Ukraine, for instance. Well, I'm not going to go into that again, which I did in many other videos that I created here. It's just that they just tell you that these guys are just attacking people on someone else's territory with impunity. Now, remember, these guys tell us about these ISIS insurgents, terrorists. So, according to the officials, US Special Operations Forces conducted the raid near the village of Qamishi, killing IS insurgent Rakan Wahid al-Shaman, wounding another and capturing 2 others, abducting. Okay, how do you call that? So later Thursday, the US conducted an airstrike in northern Syria, killing Abu Allah, the number 2 Islamic State leader in Syria, and Abu Muad and Qahtani, another ISIS or IS leader, officials said. So, a US official said a small number of US troops were on the ground near Qomasil and less than an hour to conduct the ground raid. The US doesn't often do missions on territory that is under the control of Syrian President Bashar Assad. The official spoke on conditional anonymity to discuss details of the raid. You shouldn't be in that country anyway. So it doesn't mean if it's not controlled, why is it not controlled? Anyway, in a statement, US Central Command said all Shaman was known to facilitate the smuggling of weapons and fighters in support of Islamic State operations. According to the statement, no civilians or US troops were killed or injured in the raid. Perfect, man. Perfect. The US continues to have about 900 forces in Syria to advise and assist Syrian Democratic Forces in the fight against the Islamic State group. Or maybe against Assad? Isn't that like Russia in eastern Ukraine, Americans with Syrian Democratic Forces? Are the Democratic Forces Assad, the legitimate leader of Syria? Are they his guys, or this is like separatists? Oh my God, it says that the US official said that for the first time in a long time the US did not use the confliction phone line with Russia to notify them of the US troops raid and presence there. The official, who spoke on a conditional anonymity to provide details, said that lack of the confliction was more the result of operational security and not a reaction to Russia's war on Ukraine. The US and Russia have used the deconfliction line to avoid any possible accidents and incidents where US forces are in the northeastern region of Syria, where Russian forces also operate, with a big difference. Russian forces were invited by the legitimate leader of the country. United States forces were not. They just invaded illegally, and I don't hear any UN resolution voted about this. But this is the way it is. Now, did these guys say that they killed Emil Kosman, Tom Jones, and Michael Jackson? You and I. How can we verify that Emil Kosman was a terrorist? Oh, they tell us that, right? Can I verify that? Who deemed them terrorists? They did. Do you believe them? I don't believe them. I don't believe anything they say, just as a start. Why? Because they're illegally over there. They're doing an illegality. If you do an illegality, that's called a crime. International crime? I think so. No? You're in violation of many UN charters. And one of them is protection of a sovereign country, borders, in respecting them. In this case, they don't care. They do whatever they want, including getting oil. So how do we verify that Emil Kosman was a bad dude? How do I know those guys were? Who told me that? If I look, probably, I might find those names listed somewhere in a military site, United States, or who knows what site, with those names and said criminals or terrorists or this and that. But who deemed them? They deem it. They say these guys are this. Remember, when they say we eliminate 5 terrorists, how do you know those are not my relatives? And what can I say? How do you know those people that these guys say they killed were not, I don't know, some people that they didn't like? Because if they do that, they can say they destroyed 5 terrorists in, let's say, United States, and they give you the names. As I said, Michael Jackson, Tom Jones, Elvis Presley, and Bruce Dickinson. All right? How do you know those guys were terrorists? They tell you that. Do you believe them? No. They told me Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction and many other lies. They told me the US Navy was attacked in the Gulf of Tonkin in Vietnam. Were they attacked? No. So, and the war, a country was destroyed. American people died. 55,000 according to the American officials. And the country, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, were bombed, carpet bombed with napalm and other stuff. Based on that lie. So the same here. How do I know these things? You see, these guys can tell you anything they want, and we cannot verify it. What, Reuters is going to tell us, or Associated Press? We're going to tell us where they get their information? From the same guys, because the same guys are going to issue a press communique and say, hey, we killed 15 terrorists over there. And by the way, one of them was this, one of them was this. And they say, okay, how can I verify? So you see the same thing when these guys are telling me, oh, we destroyed, 20 Russian mercenaries. How can you verify that? You go into the Russians and the Russians say, no, we didn't. Will you find that? And then besides, you're going to believe the evil Russians? Who are you going to believe? Do you think that Agence France Presse or BBC is going to have a different take on that? No. Oh, do you think I'm crazy? Maybe. But experience, direct experience, and a pattern prove to me that that's the way things are ran. But my question is, let's say tomorrow you don't hear from me. Remember, unless God decides to take me to his under his wing, I don't plan on leaving this medium here. So if you don't hear from me, how do you know Emil was, and they say, hey, Emil Kosman was this, or Emil Kosman was that? How can you verify that? Will you speak with my family? Will you speak with people that knew me? No, because they tell you so. And that's all what you're going to hear. So you see, our information, the news that we get, are given to us, and how can we verify? How can you verify things happen in Romania? They just tell you, hey, we did this, we bombarded these criminals over there, these terrorists. How did you know those are terrorists? Because they say so. So that's the way it goes. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.